Good afternoon. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. My name is Andrew McInnis, joined once again by Dave Cokin. This is the KBO betting show. Dave, unfortunately, we had to deal with some weather problems for this morning's games. So the games we talked about that were supposed to be played this morning are going to be played at 3 a.m. Eastern time, I believe.
We hope.
We hope. Yeah, we hope if the weather holds up. So you know what? We're not going to let that stop us. We're going to keep going. We will recap some of our plays that we gave out yesterday and go over some stuff from that, as well as some look-ahead matchups with some probable pitchers for the game 2 of the doubleheaders. But one game we have to talk about is the Hanwha Eagles, Samsung Lions. Boy, oh boy, can they just always find themselves, facing adversity, and not really just adversity, Dave, but just unable to get the job done. How you doing, Dave?
The team's got 34 losses this year, 10-34. I think you'd have trouble finding one worse than number 34, which was incurred this morning. Unbelievable finish. Whatever can go wrong is Murphy's Law. And they ought to put a picture of Murphy on their uniforms. So it's the bottom of the ninth, 2-1, Hanwha leading. They get 2 outs, and then the closer turns his ankle, and he has to leave the game. And now they bring in reliever A. He can't get anybody out. They tie the game. There's a ground ball to the shortstop. It's going to send it to extra innings. It's easy ground ball. He muffs it. Bases loaded. Gets ahead of the next hitter 1-2, and then base hit and ball game over. I mean, it didn't bother me. I mean, I didn't have any action on the game, so it was of no consequence to me. But it is. I felt bad for these guys because you could see what was going to happen, and then it did. It's just incredible how, in addition to being bad, how unlucky they are.
Well, I mean, the one thing we can say is that I don't think either of us are surprised by what really happened, and that's really the biggest thing in the statement we can say about this game is that obviously it's a headline we're going to lead into, especially with how there weren't that many games, just the one game. But it's not like we're shocked to see that happen. If there's any, you just said, we expect it to happen, and what we thought could have possibly happened. Now, if this was the NC Dinos going into the 9th inning with a lead, what are we thinking? They're going to close things out. Certain teams are going to close it out. But it's the Hanwha Eagles, and they do not get the job done. So, Dave, we'll just look at things right ahead real quick. And obviously, like I said, we have some of the matchups are very similar. It's all the same, very similar pitchers.
Except for one game.
Odds. Yes. So for we're going to go over the first game, and, we'll just go through things. So I'll throw it to you, Dave, if you want to talk about the pitching matchups and the one that changed. And then we'll get into the probable pitchers for game 2 of the doubleheaders. But it's interesting because so far on the season, we have seen, I think it was at most 2 games get rain postponed, but now it's the majority of them. So we have pretty much every game except for one is going to be in a doubleheader. So we'll be interested to chat about that. But Dave, let's hear about the pitching matchups.
Yeah, and an important note, by the way, there in KBO, there are no extra innings in doubleheaders. So if it's a tie game after 9 innings, that's the end of the game. And that does impact the way they post the odds on the totals. So, for instance, the Lotte game, which there were 9s out there for much of the day yesterday, that came 8.5. I think some others might have been lower than a half run. So bear that in mind when looking at these games. No extra innings in doubleheaders in KBO. The one matchup that changed for game 1 is the NC Dinos KT Wiz game, and that is going to be Bay is going to pitch the opening game for KT, and they moved They moved Kim into the second game. He was originally scheduled to pitch this morning's game. Other than that,
and, Wright remains as a starter.
Right. All the other matchups are the same. We can add the second games. The matchups that I have, Dinos versus KT Wiz. I've got Koo, who has been the best pitcher in the league, will pitch game 2 against Kim. That looks like a giveaway. I mean, and the Dinos will be huge favorites. And the only game that's posted as far as second games is the one that's not a second game. That's the Hanwha Samsung game, obviously, because they played this morning. So the matchup there is Coom versus Kim in the NC Dinos KT Wiz game. NC Dinos will be a big favorite in that game, and with obvious good reason. With Ku on the mound, they're going to be big favorites against anybody. Kia Lotte game 2, Gagnon is scheduled to pitch against Park. This kind of looks like a throwaway game for the Giants. They better get the first one because Gagnon has a decided pitching advantage in game 2 against Park. Park has not been good for the Giants, so looks like the Giants need to get that first game with Straley if they want to have a good chance to achieve a split here. Doosan and SK game 2 will be Lee versus Moon. Maybe a pitching edge to the Wyverns, but again, as we mentioned with the Tigers, with the Hanwha Eagles, it's really tough to make a bet on the Wyverns and feel comfortable about it at this point. They're 12 and 28, I guess it is.
Well, Dave, what I've decided to do with them is that if I like Moon on the mound, I'll take the first 5 innings plus a half.
Yeah. Or play under.
Yeah.
Because the Wyverns can't hit.
Why take the side play?
I wouldn't. No, unless it'll be a pretty big price. But if you're tying it into a parlay or something like that, or if you just like the game and feel that there's still value at the number, you go ahead and do it. And the Kiwoom LG back end of the doubleheader is Han versus Cha. And bear in mind that the Twins, they're shorthanded. They are still missing 3 starters. And that could really show itself in the second game.
Heroes right now minus 130 favorites in game 2 versus the Twins.
Okay. That seems reasonable enough. The Heroes would have an edge in that game. Mm-hmm. Again, you got to wait and see how the first game plays out, what the bullpens do. I will not make any game 2 bets until I see what happens in game 1. It's as simple as that. But
that's just the thing as far as like our plays go. We're giving out at WagerTalk is that you and I both had plays given out yesterday, posted towards the website. I had a best bet advertised on the front page, but also other plays given to all access clients. And now all those plays, they're going to be moved to today. So I don't really have any plays that I'll be giving out for clients besides just chatting with you on the show right now or possibly tweeting things out.
I will probably pass the back end of the doubleheaders because I honestly don't know if I'll be up.
Exactly. I hear you.
So, and I'm not going to wake up and just throw something out for the sake of throwing it out. So doubleheaders are not something I like anyway. And however, I am still going, and I'll tell you what the play is. I did play the Giants game under against Kia with Straley. That is now the game 1 matchup. It's not, the total has lowered to 8.5. I still think it's worth playing. That'll probably be the only bet I have going for the Thursday KBO slate. Now, one matchup we do know about, where this is set and there's no waiting in terms of a game 1, is the finale of the Hanwha Samsung series, and it'll be Kim on the mound against Buchanan. And this is a massive price. It's up in the range of $3. Buchanan hasn't been great, but he's been serviceable, certainly, for the Lions. And Kim has been really bad for the Eagles. And on top of that, I don't know how the Eagles can mentally. They've got to be just fried after the way the game ended this morning. It looks like a no-brainer. The price is enormous, so you probably have to find something to do in terms of an alternate runs line bet, or maybe parlaying them with somebody else.
The Dinos are heavy favorites right now, Dave. We're seeing them. I believe it's what are they posted at? Minus 275 on the money line. Game
with
2 against
Ku pitching naturally. Yeah, and even that, if you got 2 favorites of that level, you're not going to get much of a return on the parlay. So that's kind of just the way it goes. So there's just not a lot we can fill with on these doubleheader days. And by the way, according to the weather, there's a chance we might get more rainouts. So these games are not necessarily going to get played.
No, definitely not. And I've been following a pretty good Twitter account. There's a KBO weather Twitter account tweeting out pictures of the forecast and keeping us up to date, and various Twitter accounts. And obviously, anybody has access to just looking up the weather, where the games are being played. But yeah, I looked at yesterday. I said I like Australia. I also like the under, just like you do, Dave. And the interesting thing is the number stayed the exact same. So nothing has really changed.
No, it didn't for me, because I bet it under 9 yesterday, and that's not around anymore.
Money line side.
Yeah, and again, there's a reason for the to me, the obvious reason for lower total is the fact that there can't be any extra innings. So if it's 4-4 at the end of 9, that's the final score, and you can't take a 5-4 loss. So there is some benefit there. This,
Dave. A lot of times we've discussed this, and people would say in general, if we're going to see double headers, lean towards the over in the second game, depending on pitching matchups. However, we're seeing a few good pitchers, probable pitchers for the second game. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to force you into any plays, but just
that's on major leagues. That's major leagues. Right. That's not this league where the depth is not nearly as strong, and particularly as far as anything. Well, as far as anything goes, the depth isn't as strong. So it can't really, to me, you can't really handicap a doubleheader in KBO the way you do in the major leagues. In the major leagues, there's a pretty simple angle that does win. I mean, which is you back the loser of game 1 and game 2, and it's not, it's a blind angle, but it actually isn't bad. But I would not put that into use in this league.
I wouldn't be shocked to see the under 9.5 in the NC Dinos KT Wiz game. This team can score. KT can score, but with Koo on the mound, getting the 9.5, I wouldn't mind that one bit. And I think, Dave, you can look at the opposite side of things. I think for fatigue, whether you're handicapping a road trip in NBA, NHL, football, or right here in the KBO, you could also kind of look at it the other way and say these guys will be a little bit tired, fatigued, the batters, and so on and so forth. So for Koo to be fresh, to step up and in there, this could be a spot for him to just keep things rolling and absolutely dominate. It sounds like you agree with me there. So, getting a 9.5 isn't something that, I don't love betting unders with KT, but I think this could be an opportunity to look there. And Hanwha Eagles, Samsung Lions, obviously, like you said, we already played the game, the first game, and we talked about that and so on and so forth. So Samsung, massive favorites. Total-wise, look, I talked about taking that under team total for Hanwha yesterday. It was at 4.5. It was at 4.5 this morning. Based off all that would happen. I mean, that's, you're printing money right now, not only if you're fading this team, but if you're taking their team total under. Most of the time when they're losing games, it's not because they're losing when they score 5 or 6 runs.
Yep, and it's the same story all the time. And it was again this morning because they had opportunities in the first several innings. The pitcher for the young pitcher for Samsung was not sharp. He was all over the place. We talked about his control issues yesterday. He's got good stuff, but he doesn't have good command right now. And that's going to be the case with an 18 and 19-year-old. But the Eagles could not take advantage. They managed to squeeze a run across in the first and then get another one later on. But, they could have easily put 4 or 5 on the board. And the reason they didn't, it's the Eagles. They just can't get a hit when it matters. They're just a god-awful team. By the way, on Koo, he faced KT earlier this season and completely dominated them. 8 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Facing them in game 2 of a doubleheader later, I can definitely envision a similar result. So that plays into your idea on the under.
And a special announcement for everybody out there. We'll have a special episode being launched out tomorrow. This is going to be a recorded video we're creating this evening with a Korean baseball reporter, originally from Toronto, but reporting in Korea right now, Ji-ho Yo. And looking forward to having him. Dave and I are going to be asking him questions about the league, about the teams, and just sitting down for about 20, 30 minutes and picking his brain. So it's going to be a blast.
One thing I do want to find out is if he's got any updated information on fans being allowed back into the games on a limited basis, because what Carl Ravitch and Eduardo Perez were talking about on the broadcast today on ESPN. Great. And by the way, those guys are doing a tremendous job. It's not easy to broadcast a game from a remote location, and they're doing it. And it was fabulous broadcast this morning, even if the game sucked. But they did talk about the apparent possibility that by the end of this month, which is just a few days away, they're going to at least have, maybe 20% capacity or something like that. So you might start to see fans back at the game soon in KBO, which should only enhance our enjoyment of the game, because the fans there are, I guess, they're really tremendous. And even if it's just 20%, that's a plus. And it might change home field advantage a little more. We'll have to wait and see on that.
I've heard the fan base is outstanding there. I've seen on highlight videos, they pack the stands, they pack the stadium. It seems like it's we can talk all day long about the differences in Major League Baseball to this league, but when it comes down to it, they're doing everything the same. They're packing the stadiums and doing a pretty good job of it. Before we head out, Dave, we won't take up too much time on this episode, but just looking at things for the game ones, I guess, of those, just to review what we liked yesterday. With Wright getting a minus 160, 165 number here, how do you feel about the Dinos at that number?
The only thing I played yesterday was that total on the Giants game, with Straley pitching great ball right now, and I didn't have anything else. So whatever else I had was opinion only, and I'm reluctant to even pass those along because the dynamic with the games being postponed does change things. So I don't know how to approach it, and so I have a tendency to just avoid these days and just stay away from them. But I mean, as far as the Wright matchup goes, he's up against a guy who's supposed to be a better pitcher than the one he was facing yesterday, but hasn't been a better pitcher this year. It's just that simple. I mean, Bay has not lived up to expectations, and 3 of his last 4 starts have been lousy. He just hasn't been good at all. Not like Wright has been sensational by any means. I mean, the FIP is way up there, but you got to give him a pitching edge. And the Dinos, of course, remain the best team in the league.
We talked about this yesterday. We have Wilson taking on Lee in LG versus Kiwoom. And I was saying that I think Lee's stats are a little bit inflated based on a few bad games he had. I said he's looked pretty good recently, back-to-back games, shutouts, so I think I'm looking towards the under in that game. And just like I said about, there's opportunities. There's been stats that Freddie Mills and all of us have been tracking, whether it's Korean-born against foreign pitchers or 2 foreign pitchers going up against each other. But this is an opportunity here where I'm not going to go ahead and grab Wilson on the money line. I'm going to take 2 quality pitchers at a number. I believe we're getting 9.5 here. Yes, 9.5. And I'm going to go under the total in this one, as I think LG will become an under team over the next couple of days here.
Well, I can't argue against that because they're so short-handed right now. 3 of their top 6 hitters are not in the lineup because of injuries. And again, no depth in this league to speak of. So that you would think is going to compromise their scoring chances to some extent. And if Wilson does his job on the mound, and he's been pretty good for the most part for the Twins, you would think this has a chance to be a pretty low-scoring game.
And as far as the Doosan Bears SK Wyverns game goes, I actually had a small lean to the over in this one. That's what I touched on. And I think you and I might have disagreed with this one, actually. I can't remember, Dave, what your thoughts were.
On which game you broke up?
Doosan Bears with the first one, you versus Park.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Bears have been an absolute over machine on the road. And they're facing a guy who's actually, I think, a pretty decent pitcher. Unfortunately, the Wyverns have been so bad that even their good pitching does get overlooked. But this guy's numbers are not bad. And I particularly, there's one stat, and I admit a bias here, but I like pitchers who get more than a strikeout per inning because they are often able to get that swing and a miss at a crucial time and limit the crooked innings. And he's done a pretty good job of that. And it's 48 strikeouts in 45 innings for Park. I actually kind of like SK to have a chance in this game, but I just can't back them because they've lost 7 in a row. And I just almost never back teams on losing streaks like that because they find ways to lose games.
Yeah, it's nice to back a team that can be a little more reliable, a little more consistent. Just wanted to give a quick little shout out before we wrap things up. Although we didn't really have too many games this morning, Dave's still on his 6-1-2 best bet run. I'm on a 10-3-1 all plays run. That's 2%, 3%, 4%, and 5%. All of my plays. So a couple of them are being sent out to just be advertised, and some of them are just being sent out to all access clients. Don't forget, you can grab a package from both Dave and myself. $299 originally, $399, and those packages, people keep asking us, those will be going all the way until the final game is played in the Korean baseball. So, we are not here to trap anybody or fool anybody. We are doing the KBO. Are we promising we'll be doing KBO next year? No. Are we promising we're going to finish off this season? Yes, sir. Dave, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, part of the reason is the results have been pretty good. So, if you're winning at something, you don't want to stop doing it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. And by the way, a big part of that is that ESPN will be continuing to televise games throughout the season. So it's not like when Major League Baseball comes back, KBO is suddenly going to disappear from ESPN. They're still going to continue to air the games, and I'm going to keep watching as long as I'm able to stay awake. I am not going to post any individual plays today at WagerTalk. My All Access guys will get the total, which I'm giving you here, because I know some people bought it yesterday. I am still playing the Kia Lotte Game 1 under. It is a different number. It's 9 rather than 8. It's 8.5 rather than 9, but I am still going to play that. There might be some 9 minus 125 out there. So search. That would be good if you can get that. As far as what's for sale at WagerTalk, I have a Fab 5 up for the Travelers. These are 5 outright picks. So obviously, am I going to win one? I don't know. But if I do, it's going to be a big payoff because these are pretty good prices. And none of the players that have withdrawn, it didn't impact my card at all because they weren't among those 5 players. Brooks Koepka is not going to play. Webb Simpson is not going to play. Gray McDowell is not going to play. I think that's it. Chase Koepka is also not going to play, but he wasn't on the board anyway. So that's the only thing I've got for sale.
You didn't have him to win?
No.
You didn't have him to win,
He did qualify, though. So that's all I have. There's nothing for sale today as far as KBO is concerned. You've got my one play, and let's hope it gets there.
Okay, Dave. Thanks for your time. Everybody, thanks for watching. We hope we were able to entertain you for about 22 minutes here. We didn't have too many picks to give out for the following, but it's like Dave said, it's nice to actually be able to watch those game ones and then make picks for the following. We are very excited about an interview we're doing tonight with the Korean Baseball Reporter. We'll have that posted tomorrow. Lots to learn, guys. So do me a favor personally. If you're enjoying these videos, don't just hit the like button on this one. Show some love to that interview video. It means a lot to me. It's going to be a great video, and we're going to probably learn a lot. So I appreciate you guys tuning in constantly. The chat box is very lively today. Head up to about 70 people live at one point. Enjoy your afternoons. It's a beautiful day where I am. I hope it is where you are as well. And have a great night. Good luck with your wagers.